Do you recall a time where you lashed out on a friend, a significant other, or even a family member? Do you remember those moments when you felt scared to speak up, or you even felt like you said too much? Almost all of these things can be attributed to your family and the way you were raised. It's actually incredible how most people go their entire lives attaining these certain behaviors from their parents and they don't even realize it. I think a wake-up call for most people is when someone says, "You're just like your father. You're just like your mother." That's when it truly hits you. The most interesting part of all of this is it just travels from generation to generation. So your mom or your dad literally got all of their behaviors from their mom and their dad, and it just travels down all the way to you. So what does this mean exactly? Does this mean that your parents are bad people? Does it mean that they did this on purpose? Well, to be honest, I don't think most people even realize what they're doing. When someone has seen a certain behavior all of their life, it just becomes normal to them. Even if they might acknowledge that it's wrong and it hurts your feelings, they still have an incredibly hard time understanding exactly why. It's like, well, why are you overreacting? Why are you being so sensitive? You know, this is normal to me. It should be normal to you. But in reality, it's not normal behavior at all. But this doesn't mean that they're bad parents. Ow! Oh! So sometimes it doesn't even have to be the way your parents treat you, but it can be the way that they treat other people, whether it's their wife, their husband, their friends. That can have an impact on you as well. Now, I'm very lucky to have grown up in a household with really good parents, but the thing is their relationship with each other was not great at all. And I believe 2 years after they had me, they kind of realized that they just weren't best for each other. But the problem with that is they just had 2 kids and they now have to cater to us and take care of us. So they both decided to take the long and hard road, which was, ensure that we make it to college. And then from there, they can do what they want. Now, I don't think this was a healthy choice at all for them. However, I think it was probably the best choice for my brother and I, because I think having 2 parents under the same roof is very beneficial for a child, but it really was not good for them. Matter of fact, they even got divorced my first year of college. So that tells you, their only focus from all those years was just my brother and I. Anyway, the problem with this is that for 18 years, I observed a relationship that really wasn't a true healthy relationship. And like I said, my parents were great, but they were not great for each other. So spending 18 years kind of watching that whole dynamic takes a toll on you and the way that you view relationships. And I think all of this led to me not really understanding how to appreciate the relationships that I had. And I think my most recent breakup had a lot to do with the fact that I didn't really appreciate the time that we were spending together, and I didn't really deem it as productive. So I was being hard on myself. Every time that I was hanging out with her or I was hanging out with friends, I felt bad because it didn't feel productive. When in reality, spending time with the people that you love and the people that you care about adds an insane amount of value to your life. But the way I viewed it was, well, my parents didn't spend time together, so how does this really benefit my life? And instead, I just spent a lot of time alone and spent a lot of time working. Now, it's clearly wrong to do kind of what I did, but this is just an example of how your parents don't have to treat you poorly in order for you to attain these behaviors that are unhealthy. All it can take is you just observing an unhealthy relationship. Another huge thing that comes down from generations is health, physical and mental health. Back in the day, people were smoking cigarettes literally everywhere, inside every restaurant. They were eating extremely unhealthy. And you think about it, your parents and your grandparents, they never knew how bad those things were. They grew up knowing that a cig gave them a great buzz and donuts were great. you know? Like there was no science behind how that could poorly affect your health. But it's like, what did they know? Like they didn't know anything. They had no information to read about. And nowadays, I think people who are, you know, overweight or underweight have their parents to blame for that, because, you know, it's way more likely for someone to become overweight if their parent is overweight. And where do you think their parent got that? Well, they got that from their parents. And think about it. Let's say your parent loves to eat a chocolate bar every night after dinner. That's just normal. That's what their dad did or their mom did. And so you grow up your entire life watching your father or your mother eat this chocolate bar after dinner every night, or even drink alcohol. And to you, it's normal because that's what they do, right? And parents have authority and they have wisdom, and they, you know, they know more than you. If you're 5-10 years old, I mean, you don't know nearly as much as they do. So you're going to look at it as a normal behavior. So what happens when you start living on your own and you sit down after dinner and you're like, you know, maybe I'll have a chocolate bar, or maybe I'll have a glass of wine. So exactly how do you avoid this? Well, I don't think that there is a way to avoid it, but I think there's a way to change it. I think there's a way to change the way you are. And I do think people can change, but it takes a lot of work. And speaking of chocolates, you know, I don't think life is anything like a box of chocolates. I think that you know what you're going to get if you perform the correct actions in order to get there. So let's say you work out every day, you know, you're pretty likely to lose weight and gain some muscle. Or let's say, you know, you work really hard at your job, or you become more qualified for a different job. Chances are you're probably going to end up making more money. So I really think that the first step to changing is observing what your parents have done. Whether it's good or bad, you need to try to observe and learn exactly what their behaviors are. And then you look at yourself and you say, you know, am I doing what he's doing? Am I doing what she's doing? Is it good? Is it bad? And then from there, you take the necessary steps to make a change. And, you know, whatever method it is, whether it's taking DMT and tripping or going to therapy, I don't think it really matters. I think that as long as you're able to observe kind of, you know, what you've picked up on from your parents, I think that you now have a winning chance at this battle. And I think it's important to separate yourself from the rest of the people. And this can even mean your family. I think it's okay to distance yourself from your family for some time and kind of discover who you really are. And the only person who could discover that is yourself. You're the only one who really knows who you are. You can't let other people tell you who you are, because they don't live in your head every single day. They don't know who you actually are. And with all that being said, now that I am drenched in sweat, I appreciate all of you watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this type of video, please, because I enjoyed this a lot. Bye.